So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our third day of Build with Mapbox and our second customer spotlight keynote. This keynote conversation is with two very special guests from Kraken Technologies. Ido Ginodi is the VP and GM of Kraken Field and Asset Management at Kraken Technologies, and Michaela Russell is a product manager at Kraken Technologies. Joining them in conversation is Jack Williams, a Mapbox enterprise account manager who works directly with the Kraken team. So before we get started, just a couple logistical reminders. So this and all of the build sessions is being recorded, so it will be available to rewatch after the event on demand. We will be inviting live questions for our guests at this keynote at the end of the panel discussion. So to participate in that, please submit questions through the Zoom Q&A feature so we can keep track of your questions. Also, captions are available in multiple languages, so to enable that, please use the captions button at the bottom of your screen. And that's all the logistical notes from me. So if we've got our speakers ready on stage, we'll hand things over to you, Jack.
Thank you so much, Marina. I'm honored to be here today with our two guest speakers to share a really exciting story about how Kraken Technologies is transforming the utilities industry and how Mapbox is really a key part in helping them do that. So Kraken is one of the most innovative and forward-thinking companies that I've really had the opportunity to work with. And it's been such a pleasure to learn alongside them. So thank you so much for being here. But to kick things off, it'd be fantastic if you could both tell us briefly about yourself and your role at Kraken. Perhaps, Michaela, you can kick things off and then pass it over to Ido.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jack. I'm Michaela. I'm the product manager for the scheduling product within Kraken's field service management platform. So I've been with Kraken for a year and a half now, but I didn't start in product management. I came from an operations background. So before joining the product team, I worked directly for Octopus Energy's field services team. So handling all of their low carbon tech installations as their scheduling operations manager. I dealt with loads of inefficient processes, far too many spreadsheets, and have seen firsthand how poor scheduling can really affect those field engineers and customers. So that experience of managing those real challenges, seeing where the system breaks down, where engineers are frustrated, customers are left disappointed, kind of like motivates everything that I do in product development. So I know what it feels like when your scheduling system's failing you. It's nice to be able to come here today and speak from both perspectives as someone that's managed those operations day to day, and someone who's now hopefully building solutions for them. Ido?
Hey Jack, hey Michaela, great to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm Ido Ginodi. I'm the general manager for Kraken Field and Asset Management. I actually joined Kraken fairly recently, a bit less than 6 months ago. Before that, I was the chief product officer of SolarEdge, a publicly traded company dealing with energy management solutions, solar inverters, storage, etc., etc. And in that experience, I learned that for the renewable transition, for the big green dance we all speak about to happen, we need to make sure that renewables is something that is happening by utilities and for utilities rather than to utilities. And what a better place to make this a reality than Kraken. So happy to be here, and let's get going.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, team. We really do have the perfect duo here to really talk to us more about how Kraken is using location services. So we're all very excited. But yeah, let's get it going. So I guess, Ido, it would be fantastic if you could set the stage for us and tell us a bit more about what Kraken and Kraken Field is all about.
Gladly. So let's start quickly by Kraken. And Kraken, we like to think about it as an operating system for modern utilities. Now, it might be conducive to dwell a bit on why utilities need or even need an operating system. And the reality is that the utility space is gradually becoming more complex and more competitive. More complex because we see plethora of technologies that are now flooding the grids. Noteworthy are renewable technologies, but many others. and competitive because, in fact, in many markets, we see competitive tensions in different segments of the operation, from the retail front to the network front. And for utilities to maintain momentum or to keep being competitive in that environment, some things needs to change. And we see that different utilities chart different ways to differentiation and to remaining competitive or to even increasing competitiveness. And we are there to support them. One approach to increase competitiveness is by optimizing for customer satisfaction. And that's something which really hits close to home. All of us, I assume, knows this feeling of frustration when you call a call center trying to get something done with your telco or with your utility, and then you're being transferred from one rep to another. No one seems to have enough capability or enough empowerment to solve things for you. In Kraken, we solve it first by enabling technology. We bring everything into one place, allowing reps, or as we call them, universal agents, to get whatever needs to be done to make the client happy and whole. And then we also support our clients in running the organizational process, the transformation process, to really create the culture that can thrive on top of the technology. So differentiating over customer satisfaction is indeed something we are allowing our clients to do. Now, other than creating customer satisfaction, we see it time after time, it also drives efficiencies. And in most, if not all of the use cases we could see how this customer satisfaction improvements comes hand in hand with increased efficiencies and lower cost to serve. A different approach utilities can take towards differentiation is product innovation. And I'll give you an example. Many of us nowadays have EV chargers, and the truth is that EVs and EV chargers can be a bit heavy on the grid. Many utilities want to create tariffs, specific tariffs that incentivize homeowners to charge when the grid is less congested. In a legacy world, this would require the coordination and integration of at least 5 different systems: the trading system, the CRM, the dispatching system, and what have you. In old world, getting this done would mean 5 or 6 different IT projects that could take at least a year, not to mention the millions of dollars that needs to go in. By putting everything into one platform, we allow our clients, modern utilities, to run these kind of experiments very quickly. And in fact, we have many examples where processes that otherwise would have taken a year or so can now take less than a week. And it's not just about efficiencies and time to get these experiments running. It's also about the ability to iterate. Those of us who've done B2C before, and I had the pleasure of really, it's such a joy doing B2C work. We know that getting it done right in one iteration is nearly impossible. So Kraken's technology allows the efficiency, allows the pace of iteration, the velocity of iteration that allows our clients to innovate on product and to really iterate in high velocity. We stand as a company for what we call the big green dent. We are on a mission to touch 1 billion lives to foster the green transition for 1 billion clients by the end of 2030. And to get it done, we need to deploy a lot of low carbon technologies in the field. Low carbon technologies would be as basic as smart metering systems, AMIs, or EV chargers, heat pumps as electrified form of heating and cooling, solar systems, storage systems. This is where I come from. And that's complex. Now, it has operational complexities, which I'll touch upon in a second. But more than that, it has economical implications. These technologies, while they are ready from prime time and they are very much economically efficient, are still fairly expensive. A storage system or a solar and storage system in Europe could be anywhere between 30 grand to 40 grand. And the ramification is that affordability and accessibility is mostly with the upper deciles of the population in terms of pay. If we really want the green revolution to expedite, we need to solve the problem of affordability. And luckily, there is a win-win that can be carved out, because once a homeowner has these technologies at home, there are values that can be unlocked for the utilities. Think about one of the main tasks by a retail utility, matching supply and demand, and how much flexibility they have if they could selectively dispatch a battery or an EV charger or a heat pump, thereby better matching supply and demand. Again, as we said before, it's completely doable if you have the right technology bedrock, which is exactly what Kraken offers. So that's, Jack, if that makes sense, an overall overview of what Kraken does. If that makes sense, we can take the next step and see how Kraken Field fits in.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, look, thanks so much for giving me a flavor to what Kraken is all about. I think what you're building is really changing the way that utilities operate. So yeah, like I said before, we're super excited to work with you closely. But yeah, I do want to move over to Michaela now and maybe find out a bit more exactly what you're building within Kraken Field and what the partnership with Mapbox enables for you on the product side of things.
At its core, we want to build an intelligent scheduling system that transforms how utility companies manage their field operations. So optimization is a huge part of what we do. Appointments are booked weeks, sometimes months in advance. Engineering resource changes, we need to be able to account for that by consistently re-optimizing our appointments to maximize that efficiency. So the results speak for themselves. Annually, our optimization has saved customers tens of thousands of hours of driving time, which is 240 tons of CO2, or a more fun stat is 7 trips to the moon. And we're looking to continuously evolve our algorithms to be more effective and handle different use cases to ensure we're delivering that maximum impact for each client's sort of specific needs. So the traditional approach has always been really manual. Dispatchers are looking at a map, maybe using like a really basic routing software, mentally trying to optimize engineer schedules. It's really time consuming, really error prone, and it just doesn't scale. So we want to build an automated system that can do all of these manual tasks and instantly assess thousands of scheduling options, optimizing for multiple objectives at the same time. But we have to respect sort of engineer skills, availability, meet customer commitments, and also minimize travel, maximize the productivity of those engineers that are out in the field. So for those engineers in the field, their day starts with our Field mobile app. So they see an optimized route in a couple of different formats. One of them is a lovely map visual powered by Mapbox. They can see exactly where they're going. They know how long it's going to take them. And most importantly, they trust that it is the most efficient and achievable day for them. If their schedule changes, a job is cancelled, a new one comes through, the system's quickly recalculating their routes in real time. So from their perspective, they spend more time actually doing the job that they're hired to do and less time stuck in traffic or dealing with inefficient routing where they're going back and forth on themselves constantly. For the customers, the experience is much smoother as well. So they self-serve an appointment, and when that happens, they're seeing genuinely available slots based on real travel times and real engineer availability. So we're not over-promising and then having to reschedule their appointment at a later date, which is an experience that so many customers have been used to within the utilities sector. We want to be able to offer customers much more specific ETAs, like it's 2025. Customers do not expect to have to wait around all day or at best a 4-hour window for a smart meter install. It's just not realistic. They need precise timing and they want updates as and when things change throughout the day. So our partnership with Mapbox is really fundamental to this. Location intelligence isn't just a nice to have feature for us, it's the foundation of everything that we do. So if we don't have accurate travel times and routing capabilities, all of our automated scheduling and optimization algorithms are making decisions that are based on incomplete or just rubbish information. So with Mapbox, we get the accuracy that we need to make those really smart scheduling decisions at scale, which ultimately just translates into directly better outcomes for engineers and customers.
That's amazing. And I think, from our side, it's super powerful for us to hear about these efficiency gains, especially how they ladder up into such significant impact. So now I'm sure that everybody's in the crowd that's probably thinking, how have you actually been able to do this? So I assume we've got some engineers in the audience here. I think it would be great if we could dig into some more details about how the Mapbox platform fits into Kraken Field. So Michaela, once again, I'd love it if you could walk through some of the specifics about the integration and what are some of the different Mapbox APIs that you currently have implemented.
Yeah, we use a few in a slide that hopefully appear in just a minute. There'll be some nice visuals of all of the different kind of touch points where you see Mapbox in our web and mobile apps. We start with the isochrone API, which we use to establish your kind of max travel limits per engineer. It's configurable right down to the minute, which gives us this real level of like granular control to account for different types of vehicles or local traffic patterns, or even just very engineer specific kind of travel constraints. So we're caching this data for 24 hours because it doesn't change dramatically in that sort of time frame. And then we have a couple of different sort of visual screens on display where operations teams can see these isochrones, either one engineer at a time or as a sort of combined layer to create a nice coverage map. We've got a full screen map view, which is showcasing all engineers and all of the appointments that's powered by Mapbox. That is really crucial to manage the day-to-day, where engineers are, which appointments are on track, what do we need to shuffle around. And then engineers are also seeing their routes directly in the Field app using the mobile SDK, which we've got there. So when our automated scheduling engine receives a job request, it goes through a few steps. So we have the geocoding API, which converts between addresses and coordinates as sort of step one. We then go through a bunch of pre-filtering steps to ascertain the engineers that are appropriately skilled, within reach of the job, and have available time to do the installation or service or whatever it is. And then we get sort of a pool of potential options for where we could slot this job in nicely. That's when we hit up the directions API to get the actual travel time data for these potential slots. So one feature that's been super useful is the zone avoidance capability. We're automatically rerouting engineers around restricted areas. So one of them being Rotherhithe Tunnel in southeast London, which engineers are racking up some hefty fines because the signage is really poor. So the route around this tunnel is like up to 45 minutes. So we have to make sure that we account for that extra travel in their day. Otherwise, like it's going to be completely unachievable. So we've got all of these sort of potential options to offer. We pass them through one last validation check just to be double sure that offering this slot still fits within the constraints of an engineer's working day. We sort those slots soonest to furthest away, and then that's kind of what we throw at customers as their appointment options. We can afford to be or offer some suboptimal slots in terms of travel time here because customers want maximum availability. They value choice and convenience, and it's only been possible for us to do that since the evolution of our optimization engine. So that's running regularly in the background, throwing all of the appointments back up into the air and reallocating them as new ones have come through and old ones have maybe cancelled or rescheduled. Engineering resource changes in that time as well. People are people, like they call in sick. So we are looking to reduce overall travel time when we do that optimization. And there's a couple of other sort of business constraints that are factored in, things like ensuring a client's direct engineering resource is prioritized over their third parties. So it's just using a penalty weighting system. And we, again, use the directions API really heavily here to form our own sort of travel time matrix, which is the foundation for a lot of our optimization calculations. So all of that means that we're trying to balance customer choice, operational efficiency, and then also a client's business priorities all in one hit. There's one last call out that Mapbox are also working closely with another company in the Octopus group. So that's Electroverse. It's an app to simplify public EV charging across the UK and Europe. The goal is to have just one single app rather than the 50 that people sometimes have on their phone when they have an EV charger. I use it almost exclusively now. It's great, and all of their in-app map visualizations are powered by Mapbox too.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I honestly think, the solution that you've built with Kraken Field, it's literally the perfect example of how you should use Mapbox, right? Offering different APIs to be able to create your own bespoke solution to drive your own outcomes. So yeah, what you've built with our tools has been seriously cool to be working with you on. But yeah, I do have a question for you both. Thinking around, people in the audience that might be early in their journey with Mapbox. Could you maybe share some reflections around, what makes Mapbox the right fit for Kraken compared to a lot of other routing and location service providers that are out there in the market?
Yeah, there's like the obvious fundamentals that you need. So like reliability and consistent performance, which Mapbox easily provides. We have to be confident that what we're building now is going to scale. So Mapbox demonstrates that really nicely. It's well established, a good track record, working with other companies at a similar scale. So it ticks all of those boxes. But for me personally, the way that we collaborate and work together is standout. We have shared Slack channels. There's always such a kind of a back and forth where you're really trying to understand what we want to achieve, and then you can shed light on the best way to implement a certain solution. So it's never like go read the API documentation, which is always great, but it's like, oh, the documentation's here, but you could think about doing this with it or something to be aware of with this specific use case. Consider these factors. So it's just nice for it to be so accessible, and it helps us get up to speed quickly. We avoid sort of the usual trial and error paths that sometimes you can trip up over, and it just allows us to build a lot quicker.
Yeah,
I'll
that's. Oh, sorry, Ido, over to you.
I'll add two quick pointers to that. First, look, we are big on culture. Part of what sets us apart and allows us to move so quickly and build the incredible products that we build is our culture, the Kraken and the Octopus culture. And when we look in partners and vendors, we are looking for companies that share similar value set, and we found that partnership in Mapbox. And then another aspect is that within the overall Kraken setting, we are a growth business, right? We started small and now we are growing, just as Michaela said, very quickly. And we're looking for a company or a partner that would be able to support us just as well where we're in the infancy stage because they could see the potential and then grow with us and meet the requirements of a full-grown business. We really appreciate it in the partnership.
Yeah, thanks, Ida, and thanks, Michaela. We very much cherish the partnership as well. And I think, when we first started connecting 2 years ago, when this was all just an idea, and to see it come to fruition is amazing. Now you've got Octopus onboarded onto your solution. You're going to start working with more and more utility companies. So we're super excited for you to see where Kraken grows to. But yeah, I guess we probably got time for one more question. I think it's probably a good time to sort of segue into how do you go about approaching scaling, right? Like I think from looking at that initial rollout and testing to implementing at scale, I think a lot of companies that are building with Mapbox would be really interested to hear about how you're approaching scaling, especially when it comes to like testing new features, and also when you're looking ahead as well for potentially onboarding new clients in different geographies. So yeah, if you can share some thoughts around what that looks like for you, and also how do you think the needs of your customers are going to be evolving over the years to come?
When we first released our sort of scheduling engine V1, I was working on Octopus Energy side, and it was proposed that we start really, really small. And we had one engineer living on the Isle of Wight, which was perfect because it's geographically contained, like very limited scope for something to go wrong. The engineer Tom still has a special place in my heart for all of the iterative work he helped us do. So it was a great kind of testing ground for the really early days. So we started with that, and then we rolled out region by region. We can then see like the API usage patterns, any spikes in call volumes. We were able to set up all of our monitoring dashboards and really track metrics and business impact. So the phased approach is, Ido touched on it earlier, like we're huge advocates for iterative development, and it means that you can then scale predictively and iterate based on your real world learnings, like getting your products into users' hands and then ultimately, you know, building what they actually need as opposed to what they might think that they need initially. I don't know if Ido wants to add to that.
No, so I perfectly agree. I will only add one angle. Look, running a field operation is extremely hard. The margins are so thin. There are many ways to get it wrong. There are few ways to get it right. And what we are doing as a product, what we are committed to our clients is that we support them on this optimization journey towards finding the right MO for their business. Now, there is no right answer, right? You need to calibrate, you need to iterate. And for us as a product, that means that we are not giving just the school solution. We are giving a full toolbox whereby clients can pick and choose and iterate and find the right business running or dispatching strategy that is running, that's right for them. What Mapbox allows us to do is to create this geospatial toolbox, and basically everything that has to do with the scheduling engine, the scheduling studio, in fact, relies heavily on APIs that we get from Mapbox.
Yeah, thanks so much, Michaela and Ido. I think the audience will find it very interesting about how you've gone about or how you've approached scaling. So what we're going to do is now we're going to move on to Q&A, and it looks like we've had a few questions come in here, and we've had some pretty interesting ones as well. So I'm going to start off with one here. So let me just say, so the first question says, curious about disaster preparedness and recovery and how utilities are thinking proactively about this. Does Kraken Field have features that would support proactive planning to get crews or equipment in place when outages are expected? Who's going to take that one?
I can go. It's not
Perfect. Thanks, Michaela.
It's not something we've got available yet, but we are super interested in working with Mapbox on sort of predictive disaster recovery capabilities. So when utility clients are impacted by disasters or extreme weather events like storms or wildfires, how can they be predicted? And then, as was said, like how can we proactively move engineers into these sort of placements, engineers and their equipment, so that the uptime to kind of rectify any sort of power outages or anything that needs to be restored, it can be done as quickly as possible, and then you're minimizing the impact on customers. So that kind of predictive location intelligent disaster response will be really, really transformative for utility resilience.
That's awesome. And yeah, I didn't actually know you were working on that. So thank you for providing the insights for me as well there. We've had another question come in. This is actually quite interesting. So is Kraken Field specifically for utilities, or could it work in other industries, like, for example, maybe construction? What are the possibilities for Kraken here?
Look, the possibilities are endless, right? We really the problem is universal. Running a field operation, as I said, is hard, and the potential is huge, and the temptation is huge. What we are trying to do as a business is to stay rather disciplined at this point and really solve the problem tremendously well for utilities. There is so much riding on utilities modernizing and digitizing, and more than enough opportunity for us in that space. That goes to energy utilities as well as to telcos and water utilities. This is currently where we focus.
I suppose it's worth mentioning that like each industry will have its own unique constraints, but that's exactly why we want to go down the route of building a configurable toolbox so that we can handle all of those different cases.
Yeah, amazing. Another question here. So how does Kraken Field differentiate from other field service scheduling tools?
So without speaking about other tools, because there are many products out there, all have different characteristics. I can speak about ourselves. We believe that such a complex problem deserves an awesome product, and this is what we build, and we do it across 3 or 4 main differentiations. First, we got to start late. Sometimes that's an advantage. We build a cloud-first, AI-first product, and we're moving very quickly. Secondly, we build product the way we believe product and software needs to be built in 2025. We are optimizing for customer experience. We believe that employees in the utility sector really deserve the best, just like your high-tech employees or what have you. We believe that employees that get freaking good user experience are happier employees and are more efficient employees. We get to integrate AI from the get-go in a lot of what we're doing, in optimization, in quality control, in contextual inference, in text context, and so on and so forth. So that's by and large what we see. All of that is driving for our clients is efficiencies, better utilization as compared in benchmarks, improved fixed time fix rates, which means that we are indeed able to bring the right engineers to the right place with the right equipment, with the right skill set, which drives high efficiencies for our clients.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Ido. We've had another one here. So, is Kraken Field available in the US, or when will it be?
It is. It is, and
Oh, there we go.
not at liberty of disclosing details yet, but we have a lot of business happening both in Europe and overseas.
Awesome. Thank you. We've got another one here. So, does Kraken have ability for rapid deployment of engineering data as well as control testing virtually, or in your view, does that outside of their lane as a deliverable? If we don't know have the answer for that right now, we can shift back to that. So we can come back in the chat at a later date for you. I've got a fun question for you. So we've had one come through. If you had unlimited engineering power, what would be the one feature that you'd want to build? The tough one.
There's too many, Jack.
I know. You're gonna have to try and drill it down to one.
I'd have a like fully complete scheduling toolbox up and running within a week, because it's like going to be such a game changer to everything that we do, which is really boring, so
Yeah.
really speaking about it. But I'm thinking back to like my old role as an operations manager and being able to like lift and shift levers, test scenarios, make sure that what I'm doing
Yeah.
is going to have like a huge knock-on impact. Like it's just completely like unbeatable.
Yeah. So actually, I've got a question for you, Michaela. I mean, what's it been like for you being, being planning when you've been on spreadsheets to move into Kraken Field? I mean, has that just been the most amazing experience for you, having to have a bit more of an automated system?
Yeah, like I didn't really know what product management was as a role. And then I worked
Yeah.
with the field team when we were developing and rolling out for Octopus. And it's so like rewarding to now be going through the mental tick list of all of the things that I hated with like our legacy systems, and kind of build those things and like bring them to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, no complaints from me.
Oh, that's awesome. No, we'd love to hear that. Just looking through to see if we have any more questions. Give me one moment here. Um, we do have one from the crowd saying, what feedback are you hearing from your clients, the utility companies, about the measurable impacts that they are seeing from this tool? I mean, I think we've covered them a bit in the slides already, but are there any other measurable impacts that weren't covered?
So the lift in efficiency, it's hard to exaggerate on how fundamental this is in running a field operation. It's really a break or make for the business. Beyond that, we are hearing tremendous feedback on the user experience. I think we really managed to create a modern product in this, let's call it legacy industry, which is now rejuvenating. And
Mhm.
last thing is sort of corroboration to our thesis that happy engineers are more efficient. We see it in the improvement in the first time fix rates. We see that really, folks really want to succeed in what they do. If you support them from the back office all the way to the field, getting the right people to the right place with the right equipment and the right skills, it really unlocks new highs for the business.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I completely agree with you there. But yeah, look, just looking at the questions, I think that's all the questions that we have. So I think it's probably wrap up time. So I just want to say, yeah, thank you so much, Michaela and Ido, for joining. It's been awesome. It's always great to speak to you both. I'm sure the attendees who have joined today have found it super insightful and have maybe thought about some different ways of how they can build Mapbox. So thank you so much for your time. But yeah, to close it out, I'll pass it over to Marina. But yeah, thank you so much, Zane. Really, really appreciate it. Over to you, Marina.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Ido, for the presentation. Thank you, Jack, for hosting us. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining live. This concludes this keynote session. Hopefully you can join us for other sessions today and the coming days of Build with Mapbox.